Welcome back to Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt. All right, well, we're doing a little better this week than we did last week. Today it's Monday and we're just now starting the video. Last week it was Tuesday and we were starting the video. And I'll remind you that these videos are for last week. Anyway, this week we're working on a snowmobile and we're going to do some work on this motorhome here. Stick around till the end. Please hit the like button, please subscribe, and please tell all your friends. See ya. Another week we're behind with Procrastination Garage. It's Monday. I haven't done last week's video, so let's pretend it's last week. Anyway, it's end of July, almost beginning of August, so what better time than to be working on snowmobiles, don't you think? Let's clear the UTV out and get the snowmobile front and center. So you're asking, why would we want to work on a snowmobile in the middle of summer? Well, a couple reasons. One is if we get it fixed, we can get it out of the shop, put it back in the snowmobile trailer, and then it gives me some more room here in the shop. Two, we need to get ready for next snowmobile season. This is one of my loaner sleds. And what happened was last year, I hosted a military appreciation ride, and I loaned 2 sleds for that ride. This is one of them. And on this ride, for some reason, the brakes decided to not work, and the guy that was on it kind of put it into a tree. He wasn't hurt, luckily, but did do a little bit of damage to the sled. One, broke out the tack. I think that piece there is just popped loose. But more importantly, we broke the pull starter. And so now we got to figure out what we're going to do about that. We're going to have to move this exhaust can, and down in here is a recoil starter, and the easiest thing to do is just to buy a new recoil starter that's already pre-wound and everything, but that's over 50 bucks. So we're going to look and see if we can fix the one, but then we still got to take a look at the brakes and figure out why the brakes weren't working. I think they're working. Yeah, see, it feels like they're working now. But for whatever reason, everything got really hot, and the fluid kind of boiled out. So when you grab the brakes, there was nothing there. So let's start by pulling the can out and getting to the recoil. To remove the can, we need to pull those 2 springs there, that spring there, and that may be it. Next up, we need to remove, can you see it? That Torx there, that one there, and then there's probably a couple access through holes down there. So let me get those out. I've removed the 4 bolts. They're sitting right down there. Now we just need to pry this away and pretty much just lift up. Although, you know what? We may have to remove that section of pipe to get it out. Let me work on that. Now we can pull it out. There's the assembly right there. I think overall this assembly looks to be in pretty good shape. If you look right in there, you can see the end of the rope where it broke off. I'm trying to fish it back out through this hole here. And when I do that, then we'll be able to figure out where to go from there. Okay, see? I got it fished through, and this is what it's supposed to be doing. I think I got to figure out where the handle is. I think it's here somewhere. We're going to go ahead and try and reinstall in this. Usually there's extra rope in these, or enough to where I don't have to replace the rope in it. So let's see what we can figure out. So the rope comes out right there. That's where the pull handle sits. And if you look down in there, you can see there's a tube. And you can follow this tube, which is this thing right here. It's actually just a wire. Anyway, the rope has to come through it. So it starts somewhere down in there. I don't know, I think it's hidden behind this wire loom right here. Anyway, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to fish it up through here so it comes up out of here. Once it comes up out of there, I'm going to put a pair of vice grips on the end of it, and then I'm going to put the recoil back down in there, and I'm going to bolt it back in place. So you may or may not see some of that. The recoil is back in place. All 4 screws, bolts are in there. And we've got the rope being held up here by the pair of vice grips. Now let's see if we can figure out where our handle went. Maybe back in here. No. Maybe up in here. Found it. It was in the back here where I've got a bunch of water and also a belt. I'm not sure what belt that is. I don't know if that's a new belt or an old belt. It's not a new belt. I don't know. We'll keep it around. So now I've got to dig this knot out and pull a piece of rope out of there, put that piece of rope up through there, and tie a new knot. Fish the knot out with that little pointy tool there, and then we'll just pull the rest of the old rope out. Well, I say that, but it's the end of it's kind of burnt and it's jammed, so I'll get it. You can see the end of that rope is kind of melted, and the other end that's in the vice grips is also kind of melted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this rope out, and I'm going to put the vice grips down lower on it, and I'm going to cut the end of that rope off so I can feed it up through there and put a knot in it. So you may or may not see some of that action. Oh man, we just lost it all the way down there. Can you believe it? Okay, that wasn't supposed to happen, so I'm back to square one. I will show you when I get back to where I was just a second ago. This is the point I was trying to get to. So I've got the vice grips lower on the rope. I've got a lot of rope here. Now we'll go ahead and feed that through the starter handle and tie it off in a knot. Actually, a couple of knots. I'm going to keep working on that. All right, we got the knot shoved down in there. the thing is ready to be ready to let go of the vice grip. All right, that part's good. Now I'll go ahead and put the exhaust back in place. We're making progress. We got the starter rope fixed. We got the exhaust, well, we pulled it to do the starter rope, got it all put back together. One other thing we're going to do right here, you can see I got that hole right there, and this little screen is supposed to fit in there. Those clips are supposed to hold it in place, so I'm going to go ahead and put that back. To start with, you can see these little metal clips here. There's 4 of them. I really need to pull those off first, and then this piece of screen is kind of bent up. So I'm going to bend it back into the proper shape and put it up there, and then we'll put those clips back, because the clips just clip it in place. I bent the little screen so it fits back pretty good, so I'll go ahead and reinstall the clips, and that should hold it in place just like I want it. So I'll show you when I'm done. All the clips are back in, and I used the proper tool. I needed a hammer, so I used my pair of pliers to beat on it. And there's what the screen looks like from the outside. We've got the starter rope fixed, so now we know it'll start. Well, at least we think it'll start. Now what we need to do is figure out why the brake was not working right and why the starter rope broke. And I'm pretty sure it's because the brake system got really hot. And I suspect the reason it got really hot is because this master cylinder up here, it has 2 little ports in it. One port is very tiny, and if it clogs up, every time you hit the brakes, it doesn't fully release, and every time you hit them, it just keeps building pressure and building pressure and building pressure. And as it builds the pressure, then of course it's putting the pad against the disc, which causes it to drag, which causes it to get hot, which causes it to start a fire. Now this machine actually has caught on fire before because of this problem, so I fixed this before if this is the exact problem. So what we're going to do is we're going to open up the master cylinder, and we're going to drain the fluid out. And we're going to tear it apart enough to where we can clean it out. Hopefully we'll find some grime in there. That'll be an indicator. But even if there's not, we're going to clean it out. So what's the exact plan? We're going to leave the master cylinder in place. At least that's what we're hoping to do. We're going to need to remove this hose connection here. And I think I'm going to, this grab bar here, this end is held on by this one bolt down in there. I'm going to go ahead and remove that so we can flop it out of the way to give us more room. So we'll take that off, we'll take this cover off, and then hopefully we'll use some carb cleaner or actually brake clean and get the system cleaned out as needed. Well, there's what it looks like in there. I can't tell if there's a lot of dirt in there or not. We won't know until we get it cleaned out. But next up, we're going to remove that fitting right there. Probably ought to sop out the stuff that's in the master cylinder first, huh? On first inspection, I'm not seeing any problems here. The port that clogs up is this one right there. That's the little bitty one. And this is the regular port here. And when I hit the handle, the brake, I can see both of them. You see both of them are pushing a little bit of air. So that means neither one of them is clogged. So we're going to go ahead and clean it all out with brake clean. And then we're going to go ahead and fill the system back up and bleed it. I think we're all cleaned out. I used brake clean. I followed that up with air. I really didn't see anything blocking that port to begin with. And like I said, that one little small port, that's the one that clogs. So I think we're good. Now we're going to fill this up with brake fluid, and we're going to work the process to bleed it. As I recall, this was kind of a bear to bleed. I think I ended up vacuum bleeding it from down below. But I'm going to go ahead and put some brake fluid in here and see if I can get it coming out here first of all before I hook this fitting back up. I'm not sure if that's going to happen or not, but we'll see. Filled with fluid, overflowing. It's not pumping anything when I move the handle. So we'll go ahead and hook this connector back up, and then we'll find our system where we can vacuum bleed it, and we'll hook that up down below and see what we can do. I've been dinking around with this for about a half hour or so, and I finally went online and looked to see. What I'm having troubles with is getting the master cylinder to actually start pumping fluid. It's got too much air in it, and it just isn't happening. So I'm not really able to pull it through. I've got everything hooked up down below. That would be working. I in fact was pulling fluid out. I just can't get fluid to come through here. But what I saw online was somebody said to take the brake lever and flick it and basically pull all the way in and let it go, and that it'll release air bubbles better this way. And in fact, I am seeing that to be the case. So I'm going to keep playing with this and see if I can get it to start pumping. Between the flicking it, and then I realized too that the way I had the handlebars turned, I'm not so sure that this area here wasn't above the little air the intakes in there. And if that was the case, then the air was going to stay up in here and never come out. So as soon as I turned the handlebars around more and started pumping it, see how it's pumping through there now? I think we're doing better. So let's go ahead and work from below. I've got it pumping now. So I'm going to fill this up one more time. Let me show you the other side. There's my vacuum bleeder, and I'm not really using that so much, but I am using a little container, and you can see that it's got a good amount of brake fluid in it now. So basically what I'm doing is I'm pumping the handle, and then I'm manually opening the valve here and letting this fill up. I think once I do one more tank full here, one more, that'll be bled. I'm not seeing any air coming into here, but it's hard to really tell. But I think I've flushed enough fluid through there where I think I'll be all right. It's a pretty solid handle. We're going to go with that. I've got the little rubber piece back in place and putting the cap back on. That feels good. One thing we want to check on the other side here is this brake disc. Make sure that the brake disc moves, and then when I hit the brakes, it should get solid. Let me get the camera set up. Brake off, brake on, brake off, brake on. All right, I think we're set. We did manage to make a mess with brake fluid underneath there. I'm not sure where that came from, but I guess I'm not too surprised. Looking down in the bottom of this is where the old brake fluid was going. There's some dirt and grime down in there, so that probably came out of the brake system. Maybe what we want to do is after we take it for the first ride, we may want to flush it again. Since we're calling the brakes good, we're going to go ahead and put the grab bar back in place, and then we'll look at the tack situation. All right. Now this piece here, it comes out. Looking at it, it's broken, but we'll figure something out. The bigger deal is the tack, and the the glass, which is just plastic that covers the gauge, is broken. So we need to figure out how to get that tack out. I have a replacement that a friend gave me. And he also gave me a windshield, which is better than this one. This one, the one he gave me has got a crack in it, but this one's got a break all the way down. So we're going to go ahead and pull this windshield off, and then when we put everything back together, we'll put his windshield in place of this. Never mind, those just pull. Here's the one that's going to replace it. Nice. Well, that certainly looks better, doesn't it? Yeah. All right, what next? As I was getting ready to close the hood, this piece popped out, and that piece there is a little loose. So I'm going to go ahead and remove the clips on both of them, put those pieces back in so they're a little tighter. This one over here, I removed all the clips, and I rearranged the mesh a little bit so it fit better, and then put everything back together. On this side here, I only had one area that really had come loose from the clips, so I just kind of fixed it, tucked it back under there. So both of them are good to go. Just need to put my shovel back on the hood and get the hood closed up. She's coming together nicely. Okay, now we've got a trim piece up here that goes there that has broken clips. So I think what I'm going to do is I think I'm just going to drill a hole right here and on the other side and just screw that down. They'll just be real small screws. Maybe one at the top too. I drilled two little holes here. One right there, one over on the other side. That one over there is a little close to the edge, may tear out. And then I drilled holes here, a little bit bigger so the screws will fit down through them. Now I'll go ahead and tighten that down. Pretty, huh? Okay, that's taken care of. There's the old cracked windshield, and there's the new cracked windshield. The difference though, this one the crack is right up here, just a little crack. And that one there, it's a big crack going through. So my thought is that if I replace this welting piece here and come right across where the crack is, that the crack will probably be okay. And I could always take some super glue or something and maybe try and glue that up a little bit. But for now, let's go ahead and fit it. And then I looked on Amazon, I can order the stuff to go on there for, I don't know, under 20 bucks. So main thing we got to do, I'm not sure we have to do anything because it's already got that piece installed. I think we basically just got to put her in place. Oh, we do have to transfer those pieces from the bottom down there. All the hardware is transferred, and I even washed it, although it's kind of hard to tell. It still looks not real good, but it's good enough. Maybe we'll try and polish it once it's on there. So let's go ahead and get it mounted on the snowmobile. It doesn't look too bad. I mean, there is a little spot right here, but again, not a concern. And then if we put new welting on here, that'll take care of the little crack up there. It's better than what we had on there at the end. And, you know, the whole thing, you know, some people care about their snowmobiles that they're all pristine. We ride ours through the trees and stuff, so it doesn't matter. Function over beauty. So I think that's good. Now, what we need to do, the handlebars, I would like to move the handlebars forward a little bit if I can, but I got to make sure they don't hit the windshield. So I'm going to play around and see how far forward I can move them, and then maybe I'll move them up a little bit and I'll show you when I'm done. Apparently Skidoo thinks they know better than me. If you look right there, when I lift the handlebars up, see that tab right there? This is what I'm looking at, right down there. It has a stop. It only lets it go that far, so I can't raise the handlebars up any further than that, which is where they were. And I want them to go at least an inch further forward, maybe 2 inches further forward. So what are we going to do? We're going to grind that little tab off. Unfortunately, it's not going to be easy to get to because I don't want to remove all of the cables and everything else. So I'm just going to figure it out. So Skidoo wasn't real serious because they only put that little stopper on one side. It's got one little weld right along here. So I'm going to go ahead and get my grinder out and grind that away and just pop that tab off. There's a little piece I ground off right there. So now I've started reassembly. So put everything back together. I've got to get a zip tie around this piece here to hold it to the handlebars. And then I need to put those 4 bolts back in place. I have the handlebars tilted forward in what I think is a more favorable riding position for standing up. Now what I've got to do is I've got to loosen this block here, spin it down around because the throttle is now a little too high. It needs to be up a little bit for when you're standing, but it's way too high now. So let me swap that. Much better. I lowered it down. This way it's comfortable when you're sitting, comfortable-ish, and comfortable when you're standing. Actually, what I should do is I should not tighten it quite so tight so a person can pop it with their hand to move it. That's the way it is on my other machine, my E-Tech that I ride all the time. So the last thing is this cover here that goes there somehow. I'm not sure what holds it in place. I think maybe what holds it in place is broken, so I've got to figure out how to keep it there. Even though this is the way it was on there when I pulled it off, I'm not real happy. The problem is when this piece is in place, this down here is pushing up against my DESS tether, and that's not a good thing. And I don't know why that is, if it was doing that before. I don't think it was. I almost wonder if this piece here ought to be flipped so this end is up and this end is down. I don't know. I'm going to play with it a little bit more and see what I come up with. I don't know what has changed here. I don't think anything really. I cannot give the thing enough clearance to where it clears this DESS tether. And what this tether does is 2 things. One, it's a security device. You have to have a matching thing. It has to match electronically. And then the other thing is you hook this end to your snowmobile gear or your body, and if you fall off the machine, it pulls this, which shuts the machine down. Granted, I never use that. I should, but I don't. The problem is, if this gets messed up, this machine will not run. So the fact that it is so close when I turn, I can't find a way to pull it away far enough to where I'm comfortable with it. So I think what I want to do, and I shouldn't have to do this. I mean, this is a 2004. I mean, obviously it's been working all these years. But I think I'm going to drill a new hole right over here and move the DESS over here. So it's just completely out of the way. I don't like the fact that it's that close. I thought about putting right here where this little embossed area is. But I don't know how much wiring's behind this. In fact, I don't know if I can move it there. I may have to move it here or something. So, but I think the only way I'm going to find out is I basically have to remove this piece again so I can reach up underneath here. And I hate tearing all that apart, but I do think I probably can leave the windshield attached. I don't know. We'll see. After much looking around, trying to figure things out, I finally decided to move the DESS right there. When I moved it in this area here, it was still close to the handlebars, and or when I went to flip the choke all the way up, it was going to be in the way there. So this way I moved it up there. It's fine. It's out of the way. I can get to the electrical through here. So everything's good. I need to hook the speedometer and tack back up and get the bolts in here, and then get everything put back together, get the windshield put back on, and I think we'll be done. And there it is, all back together. Newish windshield. We fixed the recoil, so in theory that'll pull over. We fixed the tether issue. We moved the handlebars up. We repositioned the throttle, put a new tachometer in it. I think she's ready to ride. And there's Bear, just in time. All right, do we want to see if she runs? This thing has been sitting a long time. It's like 50 pulls to get it started, so it may or may not start. I just figured out the belt that I found in the back of it where it belongs. It belongs on this machine. They ended up towing this one all the way back to the snow park, and when you tow them, you take the belt off to make them roll easier. So I guess we better put the belt on. So what's up next? How about we put this RV connector on the back of the motorhome? So why would we do that? Well, a couple reasons. One is I would like to be able to tow this snowmobile trailer. In order to do that, I need trailer brakes, and this one's got an RV plug on it, so we're not worrying about trailer brakes on the RV right now, but first step is to get the RV plug on there. The other reason is last time when we've been towing this trailer here, we have a ground issue with the RV wiring, and as soon as I turn the tail lights on, I lose one of the turn signals. I don't remember which one. And so if I don't have my headlights or tail lights on, then all is well. So I think the problem is right at the connector, one of these, except it's not an RV one. So I figure if we put the RV one on there, we'll kind of kill two birds with one stone. So let's figure out how we're going to mount it under there. There's the current mount we've got right there. And I don't know if you guys can tell. Let me see when I get my adapter out of there. I don't know what they call this one, but it's not RV plug. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think this is 7 wire. It can have trailer brakes. This is not a terrible plug. It just everything I own is either RV plug or a 4-wire. So it just makes sense to convert to an RV plug. And like I said, I have an issue with the ground and tail lights, and I really think the problem is right in here. So I think if we just replace this assembly with the RV one, that we'll kill two birds with one stone. So let's go ahead and get this one unbolted and unwired. As you can see, I just cut the wires off of that. I'm going to go ahead and use this pigtail because this pigtail here is really short. So the other end of those wires there, I actually rewired here a couple months ago, And they're just Scotch-Lock connectors, but I know they've got a good connection on them. So we're just going to figure out which wire is what, because I don't think the color coding's right on those. And then we'll match it up with these, and we're just going to use some of these little connectors here, butt connectors, and hook everything up. And then it looks like we'll be able to slip that right into the mount there, because that looked like a multifaceted mount. So that'll be perfect. This is going to be a pretty easy job. The hardest part is going to be figuring out which of these wires goes to brown, which to green, and which to yellow. This pigtail has the white wire completely separate from the rest. So I'm cutting open a little protector loom there, and I'm going to run the white one in there, because I'm not going to run this directly to ground, because I redid the ground. You can see it up there where I ran it right to the frame, and it's a good connection of a ground right now. So we're going to go ahead and just hook into that. So let me get that inside that little loom. I went ahead and stripped the white, the brown, the green, and the yellow, because those are the ones I'm going to be using. I'll leave the yellow ones for now. We'll come back to them at a later date. I stripped back that pigtail a little bit, and I stripped those wires, white, red, black, and brown. The only two colors that should be there are the white and the brown. So hopefully the brown connects to the brown, and then we got to figure out which one the red hooks to and which one the black hooks to. But I know the ones they're hooking into up under there that's on the RV, those are the correct color codes. So I don't think it'll be much of a problem to figure this out. It would have been too simple for this brown here to connect to the brown in the RV. It does not. I don't remember which color it connects to. I'll have to check. The red went to yellow, so I've hooked it up to yellow on this end. The white we know is a ground, so I've hooked that up. So I've got two wires left. I've got the brown and the black out of that pigtail, which will need to go to the green and the brown. Actually, probably what it is, I probably don't have to look. Probably the green here, probably that green goes to brown, and that black goes to brown in this pigtail. But I'm going to double check just to make sure. All the wires are connected. Okay, the smart thing to do would be to pull the motorhome up and hook it up to the snowmobile trailer and see that everything works. Are we going to do that? Yeah, I think we are. So how do we do? I was leaving it up to you guys to watch. Was everything okay? Yeah, I hope so, because I'm getting ready to button everything back up. So if you guys are lying to me, all that's left is a little bit of taping up my wires there, putting the mount up through there. They gave me a little dielectric grease, so I will, when I put that connector together for the final time, I'll use that. And then I need to bolt that up to that mount there, and I have 2 bolts already, so hopefully that's enough, or I can probably scrounge up a couple more. So let me get to work on this. Done and done. That thing's all wired in. The wiring's straightened up, zip tied, everything's out of the way. We should be good to go. Now, I didn't show you the other end of the connectors, but if you saw a previous video, you would have seen they're just Scotch locks. But you know what? The original Scotch locks lasted a long time. In fact, they never did give me any problems. I went ahead and changed them because I thought that's where the problem was, but it was not. So we're not too worried about that. But anyway, this is all set up and it's good to go. So this winter we'll hook the snowmobile trailer up to it, I think, and we'll haul that up to Snow Park. So what I do need to do, I probably have one. I need an RV to flat 4-wire adapter so I can tow the trailer that I haul the UTV on. Like I said, I think I already have one. So I was going to buy an RV plug that also came with the 4-wire, but it was like 40 bucks or something. It was crazy. So, and I think I already have the adapter, so we didn't need to do that. So anyway, that's done. All my tools, my mess is all cleaned up. So I think we're good to go. You may be wondering why the hood is off the Troy-Bilt and it's sitting out in the middle of the yard. And there's a Troy-Bilt right there without a hood on it. And the reason being is because I went to use this the other day and the throttle broke. It ain't working. So this isn't the first time I replace this. It's this assembly with a wire that goes out to the front of the engine. Comes in right there. So I've got to order a new one for that, and then that'll be an upcoming project, hopefully next week. That's a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. I'm feeling pretty accomplished. I got the snowmobile squared away. That's something that's been sitting there since beginning of March. And I got the wiring done on the motorhome. So I think we did pretty good. Remember, the number one goal of Procrastination Garage is to do that. Motivate me to get me out in the shop, out in the yard, or even up in the mountains playing. Down in the comments, tell me about the projects you're working on, or better yet, tell me about the things you're procrastinating about. I hope you'll hit the like button. I hope you'll subscribe, and I hope you'll tell your friends. So until next week, my name is Matt, and we'll see you then.